where did that regular season go? It was really fast. 4 months coming in on July 31st, and then finish it up on November 19th with a big win on the road against South Dakota for our seniors and captains and the entire team to win on the road and share a 6th straight Missouri Valley Conference Championships. Real, gratifying to us as a staff, and can't say enough about our guys, how resilient they were, and dealt with a lot of adversity this year. I want to thank Matt Larson, our administration team, and Pat Fredrickson for allowing us to go a day early. We were able to go on Thursday and spend an extra night there, and it really helped us. Obviously, it was even hard to get down there on Saturday, which we didn't realize until we tried to get on the road from Sioux Falls to Vermilion. But if we had tried to do that on Friday, it wouldn't have worked, and obviously it wouldn't have worked on Saturday. So appreciate Matt Larson and his staff for allowing us to get down there on Thursday and get into a routine, and our guys handled that routine really well Thursday night and Friday. So with that being said, we're off to the playoffs, and we'll take questions.
What do you know about Pierre? Any update there?
It's an MCL strain, and so it's or sprain, so it's just kind of a week-to-week deal, and we'll see how it tightens up. Obviously, he won't do anything this week, and probably next week at this time we'll reevaluate him, but no structural damage, so that's good.
Anybody else injured, or how are you coming out?
Well, Jalen Wimbush will be out this week. His is an AC separation, I believe, in his shoulder, and he'll be kind of week to week. I'm sure there's a number of guys. Plank is beat up pretty good. Get more of a laceration or something on his leg, and he'll be out a few days. We have a number of guys that'll be out this week, but we'll only practice a couple of times this week before we give them a little Thanksgiving break, and they need a break physically and they need a break mentally from football. You go on an 8-game grind like that in the Valley, everybody knows that takes a lot out of you. So we don't see them at all today. Today's an off day for them, and then we'll get back together tomorrow for a short practice.
Is this as beat up as you've been heading into the playoffs?
Without question, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of guys that either obviously dating back to Nick and Nate that are out for the year and stuff. There's a lot of guys that are beat up that we'll see what we'll have at the end of this week and see if we can get some guys back.
Is that a product of, again, you go back to the non-conference schedule? Can you take it all the way back?
I think you probably can. Not only that, but playing that early game and you come in July 31st, maybe that's a week difference, but you come in July 31st and you play your first game in August before anybody else does, and have the gauntlet of the schedule we did with the 3 non-conference games, and then the Valley. I think it's partly that, but some of the things were, Nate's wasn't. Nate just turned and his knee popped. So, but we'll be able to, I think we'll get Bruce back more 100%. Obviously, it was good to have him out there. He played maybe one snap of offense and ran a wheel route when we had Jeff for the screen, and I know they were wondering why Bruce was in there, and he runs a wheel route. He's such a great receiver that it took a couple guys out of there, and Jeff was able to get a big 3rd down conversion on a screenplay. But he did a nice job on kickoff, and having Bruce out there practicing is a big lift to our team, and I think he'll be closer to 100% in 2 weeks.
You can talk about how tough this schedule was, but when you look at the parity throughout the standings and where you guys all ended up sitting, can you also look at that preseason schedule, that early non-conference schedule in your conference, and say it also got you that number 1 seed along with your work?
It may have. I mean, I didn't get a chance to listen to what anybody said from the committee, but I think our win over Eastern Washington probably trumped a lot of things, and that was a great football game. Obviously, the win over Charleston Southern was big, but you go through our league and you go 7-1 with as many good teams there are in our league, and does the Iowa win help? I don't know. I know it prepared us in the 4th quarter of games, just the non-conference, having to play 3 games where you're playing to the last play. It helped us gain some confidence to some of those younger guys that hadn't been in the same position in the previous years of winning the game late in the 4th quarter.
So on one hand, you have the preparedness, on the other hand, you have the injuries. Was it worth it having that difficult non-conference?
It is what it is. I mean, it's hard to schedule games around here. So it was a fun non-conference. It was one of those that. You look back and say, well, would you like to have had one other game in there? Maybe, but shoot, our guys are going to remember this. And I told our guys that you're going to remember this for a long time, 10, 20 years from now. Of we were 7-1, 10-1 overall, and you beat two top-ranked teams in the country and beat an 11th-ranked Iowa team. That's something that as daunting of a schedule as it was, I think, the toughest schedule that we've been here since I've been here in the 6 years.
So going forward, then you anticipate maybe having just as tough non-conference schedules, or
nobody ever knows. Every year we're trying to schedule teams. We don't schedule them 5 and 6 years out very well. So it's we'll find out what next year is, and we'll find out the following year.
What do you think of the brackets overall? What are your thoughts?
I've only really looked, Mike, at our top half of where we're at and what could come in those first couple of games. That's really the only thing I've looked at. I know who the seeds are below, but I didn't really look at the matchups. All good teams, so it doesn't matter who you play. But Cal Poly had beat San Diego before. I thought that was interesting that they put those guys to play each other again. I didn't think that was what the whole idea of the brackets this year is try to make sure there wasn't any repeat matchups, but obviously they did do that, and I haven't watched any film yet. I've been doing some different things with Missouri Valley Conference calls and stuff, so but I know two really good opponents in Cal Poly and San Diego, and then that next game, whether it's South Dakota State, Villanova, whoever else, that's a tough upper half of that bracket, and we'll have our hands full with either Cal Poly or San Diego, whoever comes out of that game.
What do you think about having South Dakota State on the same side of your bracket when you've played them, twice or three times?
Personally, I wish they wouldn't do that because I think it's a way of trying to ensure that there's not two valley teams, but in the same respect, you have to still win and beat anybody in front of you. And so it's too bad that every year South Dakota State and North Dakota State are potentially matched up against each other. Last year it didn't happen, and Montana won. Heck, this year it could be neither one of us make it to that second game. But I wish, from a personal standpoint, because I've got good friends down at South Dakota State, that they would put us on opposite sides rather than say, okay, you guys are a bus drive, let's do that. But once again, neither one of us has even advanced yet.
The Valley got 4. What do you think about that?
Well, it probably took some losses to get Illinois State in. I think we all knew the 3 were going to get in, and then where that 4th or maybe even 5th would have come in. I know that there were some losses in other leagues that maybe helped Illinois State, but had some of those teams won, maybe we'd only gotten 3. I'm happy for Illinois State because I think they really ended the season well. Their 2 big wins over Northwestern and South Dakota State, I think, really were eye-popping. But to get a 6-5 team in for the second straight year in the Valley shows you how good our league is.
Was it important to have a big day throwing the ball on Saturday going into the playoffs?
Yeah, absolutely. It's confidence for our Easton and our passing game in general. We need to be able to move the ball in a variety of ways, whether it's drop back, 5-step stuff, bootleg, play action. I think Easton out on the edge that's where he really excels. I think the biggest thing about our offense was finishing the game the right way and taking the 5 minutes off the clock and not giving those guys the ball back because we were tired on defense, we were beat up on defense, and that's a really good quarterback with an explosive offense that once they went for it on 4th and 9, and I think he probably thought about, am I going to kick a field goal or not, but I don't know if he thought he'd get the ball back, so he'd take a shot at it on 4th and 9, and we talked about it in the huddle. Let's end this game the right way and finish the season the right way, and the offensive line and the backs did it.
You guys concerned? Last points you scored with 11:30 left in the third quarter. Worried about the last 26 minutes of the game not cashing in at all?
We won the game. That's all I'd say, Raw. I mean, you can go back in every game. We wish we would have scored one, wish we would have not given up one. Bottom line is, we found a way to win the game, and nobody's going to ask you at the end of the year, well, you were 10-1, but you only won a couple of games in overtime or by a touchdown or less. I don't really care. A win's a win.
Coach, you have a blueprint now for how you handle this part of the season, the bye and so on and so forth. Did you change anything this year?
Well, we'll have to adjust a little bit this year just because of the amount of injuries we have. I don't think we'll have a full complement of guys out there today or tomorrow, but we'll get workouts in both of those 2 days. We'll probably emphasize some of our freshmen a little bit more these next 2 days, which is a great thing for us because we redshirted them all, and it allows us to spend some extra time with those guys, and it gives our older guys more of a chance to get in the training room, get more treatments, be real limited on the field. We've played a lot. Not only have we played so many games, we've played so many snaps in all those games. So we have to adjust, and we're going to staff meet this afternoon. We haven't been together as a staff. We gave the staff off yesterday on Sunday. And then they've been looking at both opponents, and I've been on different calls. So we'll meet together for the first time this afternoon as a staff to discuss the week ahead.
How much prep do you do on both teams before there's obviously a winner on Saturday?
Well, we've always done and will continue to do Tuesday on one team, Wednesday on another team, in no particular order. So we'll talk about that today of which team we're going to do. What we have to decide as a staff is on Saturday when we come back and have a practice. I wish the game were at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, where then you gain that extra practice. With this being a night game, I'm not real excited about practicing at 9 o'clock at night or something, and we're not going to do that. So we'll probably split that second practice or that Saturday practice up and do a little bit on both teams.
Is Chris Board going to get looks then this week at linebacker with Pierre out?
Well, he will get a lot of snaps. He and Levi both, because I know Pierre will be out. I'm knocking on wood that Chris is healthy. He missed some time, and he's got a back, which then led to a hamstring injury. So we'll see how he is. But I would assume just going a couple of days this week before they're going to get a few days off, that Chris will be able to get a lot of those same pictures that Pierre would have had.
How does Levi look? I saw him play. He had a big tackle on Saturday. How's his progression come this year?
He's done a nice job. He was nicked up a little bit. We've moved him from inside to outside, back to inside. Now we're going to have to move him back to outside. But he's done some really nice things, and I know one thing about Levi. He's going to know where he's going to be. He knows our defense. He understands the fits, and he's going to play aggressively and play hard. He's really elevated his play on special teams. He's on more of those this year, and so he'll get a look as well. Between he and Chris, they'll get a really good look at the outside backer.
Bruce can play. Does he immediately go back to return kickoffs, and then Perkins goes back to returning punts, or do you keep it the way it is, or what's your plan there?
If Bruce can return a kick, we will have him do that. I'm just not sure if he'll progress that far. Will he be better as a running back, receiver, those things, as opposed to the kick return? We'll find out over the next 2 weeks. But if he's healthy enough, and we'll know probably in another 9 or 10 days, if he's healthy enough, absolutely Bruce will return kicks.
So will you have Perkins do both kick and punt, or do you keep Darius at punt?
I think we'll probably keep Shep at punt return. He's done some really nice things, but it gives us a chance to maybe go some too deep stuff. We've done that a little bit this year. We've had to put RJ back there, but we could put Perk back there as well. And then, either put the second guy back on kick return. That's something we've talked about, because people will try to kick it away from Bruce at times. But I'm excited to have Bruce back, just because I think it gives us another dynamic weapon on offense, either in the backfield or out of the backfield.
In the past, some other coaches have said they see a different North Dakota State team on tape in the playoffs. What, in your mind, is a flip switch in the playoffs for the team?
I couldn't tell you. I really don't know. I think some of it is a product of you play different teams. and you're not playing the same teams in the Valley. Now, we may do that. Who knows if we're fortunate enough to advance. But that's what I hope, is the fact that, you prep against the same teams over and over and over again like we have in the Valley. Everybody knows each other so well. I think sometimes it's harder or more difficult for a team to come in here the first time. That makes sometimes a difference. Our guys do amp it up in the playoffs. I think our fan base gets excited about playoff atmosphere and playoff games, and I know we'll have a tremendous crowd in 2 weeks. But if somebody said, I don't think we attack anything differently as far as how we practice and how we prepare. That's never going to change, and it's always the same formula of just win every day and give yourself the best opportunity to be successful on Saturday.
I know Nate had his surgery last week. Have you been able to talk to him, and how valuable is he to still have out there just as a teammate and a leader?
Well, it was neat. We came into the locker room in Vermillion, and we put him on, we FaceTimed him, and Kramer had him there, and kind of everybody got a chance to say hello to him and thank him. And then he was in, kind of in spirit there with all of our pregame or postgame stuff that we do in the locker room, and he was on the speakerphone, and it was neat to have him be involved, because he's such a huge part of it. Not only has been a great football player for us, but as a team captain, as one of our leaders, I'm excited to have him back at practice and be around the guys. But the surgery went really well.
When does Nick find out his hardship status? Do you know?
I think we submit that at the end of the semester, and then I would hope we'd have an answer by mid-January.
Chris, there's been a couple of ADs I spoke with of getting the first round off of Thanksgiving, moving everything a week later in December. What do you think about that, starting everything?
When are you going to play the championship game, like February 1st, opposite of the Super Bowl?
I believe what they would like to do is keep it where it was, but move the semifinals maybe back a week.
Oh, in a perfect world, I'll be honest, I wish it all ended before Christmas. I think that's the way it should be. I think whether it's the 2 weeks, the 3 weeks, the 3 weeks is way too long. And maybe we will be a part of it. Maybe we never will be a part of it again. Who knows? But that's a long time. I would rather have it all done by Christmas. Now, that's tough, but I could see them moving the schedule up a week and throwing a bye week in there and having it done before Christmas. I don't think to add another, well, then what do you do with Indiana State or Illinois State that finishes a week early, or UND that finishes a week early? Shoot, now you're off an awful long time.